Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Creative Coach. Today I am talking to you guys about editing wedding films. So this one is specifically for my wedding video friends. So let's dive right in. We're gonna start off with a nice visual. I'm gonna pull it up on my computer and show you here. So this visual right here might look a little jumbled, but I wanna walk you through it. So if you are somebody who's kind of new to creating wedding films, or you don't quite know where you want to go with it, this is kind of a storyboard cheat sheet. So disclaimer, this is a super basic wedding video editing style. This is like where everybody kind of begins, and then you can put your own twist on it from here. So just want to put that out there. This is not super proprietary or crazy or anything. This is basic. This is starting point. So if you feel like you're beyond that, this video might not help you very much. But if you're someone who feels stuck, or maybe you're kind of new to the wedding film world, this is definitely going to help you. So let's dive right in. I'm going to move around with my little pointer because that's just who I am. So we have here all of these words right here. These are your big moments in your wedding films. So I kind of separate wedding films into these major things, like you're opening up with the venue, you're moving into prep, maybe they're going to do a first look, maybe they won't, then you're going to pop over to the ceremony, then you're going to do portraits, then you're going to do the reception, then you're going to do the ending and the send-off. So chronologically, this is how a wedding is going to go. So if you want to lay out your film chronologically, this is a great way to do it. So a big way to open up a film is you're going to start with the venue, right? And you're also going to put in your romantic music, which is this long bar here. So you're opening up with like music that sets the scene. You're opening up with the venue. Now I've got these little tiny dots. And what these mean is just you can sprinkle in little things with these. You can drop them in, sprinkle them in, just to kind of chop up the timeline a little bit if you're not wanting a solely like chronological timeline. I've seen this done where people will open up with a big venue shot, then they'll sprinkle in a little bit of portraits and some venue details. Then they're going to pop over to prep. Prep is another big moment in the wedding films. Then you can drop in these little moments here with your, you can bring in portraits and venue details. Then you're going to pop over to prep. So everybody's getting ready. Bride prep, groom prep. Maybe you want to split that up with some portraits or some details of the ceremony or whatever. If they're doing a first look, you're going to capture this as well. And you'll notice here I put with audio. So I am of the camp, and this is going to be a little controversial, but I'm of the camp that like if you're going to call yourself a professional wedding videographer, you do need to be capturing audio. If you're brand new, like first wedding or two, and you don't want to do that, you just want to make like a music video, go forth. But if you really want to get serious about this industry and about being a wedding videographer, you've got to learn how to capture audio. So someone who's great for this is Matt Johnson, like the king of wedding audio. I, in the future, will be doing a couple of videos on audio, but I don't think I have any out right now. So if you're watching this post 2022, go look at my channel and see if you can find one, because I've probably done one by now. So I do want to say with audio, I want you to be capturing the first look with audio, because sometimes they say like the sweetest things, and sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, like you look good, and that's it. Like it just kind of depends on the couple's personality, but you can capture some real gems. So now we're going to jump from first look to setting up the ceremony, because chronologically that's what would happen next. Maybe you want to sprinkle in some more portraits and maybe some ceremony details. So we're hopping over to the ceremony now. You're going to be capturing this with audio. Again, even though I didn't write it here, it's kind of a given. So you're going to do the ceremony. Maybe you want to sprinkle in some portraits over this. Then you're actually going to move into major portrait hour. So as you're thinking through the editing, if you're somebody who wants to separate out this chronological timeline by sprinkling in like details and portraits and moments from other parts in the day, I would still reserve your like most amazing portrait shot for this portrait time. So like you do the ceremony, whatever, then you're on to portraits with this huge epic shot. because the ceremony is kind of going to be like the climax of your film. So if you can really roll in like, oh my gosh, they're finally married, this is amazing, and then pull in this like super awesome shot, it's really going to make that moment pop and stand out in their head. Another thing you can do is start bringing in some reception details as well, because from the ceremony to the portraits, you're gonna start talking about the reception. So they come into the reception, they do all the reception things. So like they do their entrances, first dance, toast, dances with their parents, maybe they do a bouquet, garter, or like the shoe game if you've ever seen that. You're gonna film all of that, right? Like that's just part of their day. You can go back and you can sprinkle in some portraits. You could sprinkle in some like details if you wanted to, like more flowers, more things of the venue, like re-centering the scene, like, oh yeah, like here we are, reception details, whatever. The reception is kind of like a free-for-all, or you can keep it totally chronological. And this is what I tend to do. I just do the reception all the way straight to the end. You can do whatever you want. You can sprinkle it in, you can chop up the timeline, make it less chronological, more chronological, totally up to you and your style. And then you're gonna end this whole thing with, this is supposed to be a sparkler. So this is like the sparkler exit. People seem to be ending with the sparkler exit all the time. If there isn't an exit, this is why I also put portraits right here. If they don't have a grand exit or anything that symbolizes like the end of the day and you're having trouble figuring out how to end a film, circling back to a portrait where they're like walking away or something that's just kind of like off they go feeling, that's a great way to end a film as well. Now let's pop down into music. So right here I've got my music bar. Can you see that? Oh, that's kind of nice. Maybe I'll roll with that. Okay, so right now we're talking about music. So I'm a fan of using 2 tracks in my songs. I usually start with something a little calmer, then I pump it up for the party, like the They Lived Happily Ever After. Sometimes if I'm doing like a multi-day event, or which is what I'm going to show you here in a second, or I'm doing something where it's starting with like a welcome party and then it's going into the wedding day, I'll start with more like upbeat music, settle into something more romantic, then pump it up again. So here you can see as soon as we open up with the venue, we're starting our like romantic, easy music, and that's carrying all the way through the ceremony and portraits. Now, if your portraits are super fun, like you have a couple who's like running and they're playing with each other and it's really like upbeat, you can start this music here. Like you can start your party music right after the ceremony into the portraits. I've even started a music change right at the first kiss with like something really upbeat, and it's like, all right, they kiss, now we're ready to party. Here we go. So that's an option too. So let's talk about music licensing for just a second. Music licensing for videographers like us is so stressful for some reason, but there's very limited options that you have. So you need to be licensing music from legal music licensing sources. So this is going to be like Soundstripe, MusicBed. You have to license your music legally. You cannot just go pull music off of YouTube. You cannot go pull it off of the radio. You cannot, if you download something on iTunes for like $2, you do not own a license to that for commercial use. So if you're confused about music licensing, there's other people who have done more intense videos on it. You can go watch some of their stuff, but you need to be licensing your music from a legal source. So that's music. Now we're gonna pop down to audio tracks. Okay, this is where this graph does get a little confusing, but hang with me, just hang with me. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna open up and you're gonna have your music going, and then you wanna introduce your audio. So this is telling their story. So what audio do you feel like tells the vibe of the day best? This is why I like to prioritize toasts if I can, because if it's a good toast, it's gonna tell their story. So it might be like, this is how they met. This is how I saw the relationship grow. If there's somebody telling their story while you're showing them getting ready for the day, people are gonna be like, oh, I understand their backstory and why they wanted to get married. If you don't have a great toast, that's when I default to the vows. If the vows were custom, if the vows are stock vows where the pastor is just saying something, then they just say, I do. I don't love to use those unless it's like there really is nothing else that I can pull from. So you'll see here at the end, I have this thing that says cut to live, cut to live. So what that means is you want to bring in the video with the audio into your timeline. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in just a second. Maybe it's the ceremony and the pastor. Maybe it's them doing the vows. Maybe it's someone giving a good toast. You want to show that moment live every once in a while, just so people can put it together like, oh, this isn't a phantom voice. This really happened at their wedding. And then you've got the same thing down here at the reception. So if you've got two really good toasts, or maybe you have a longer toast and a really short one and you want to use both of them, bringing in a toast during the reception is a really great way to do that. So let me show you what all this looks like laid out on a timeline. All right, so right here, I have got my timeline for a multi-day destination wedding that was in Mexico. This timeline can feel a little overwhelming, but I want to break it down for you in light of this chart that I just pulled up.
I knew from the start that what Jacqueline and Stephen had was special. They are truly best friends at the core of it all, tackling every next step together. The relationship is dynamic, filled with laughs, but also approaching all obstacles with the three pillars: love, patience, and understanding.
Okay, pause. What you saw here is exactly what is in my little editing breakdown cheat sheet. So right here, I'm opening up with a drone shot. This audio track right here is my music. This is my soft romantic music. This right here is a little bit of Foley. So that was like the bird chirping that you heard. And Foley is basically just like environmental sound bites. And right here, we've opened up with a toast, because this toast really told their story super well. So I'm opening up. I did sprinkle in some details of them dressed up already. Here I cut to live, showing the person giving the toast. This kind of anchors the whole scene. And it's like, oh, this is who's talking. This is what's going on. This is obviously a toast at the reception. It just kind of sets the viewer at ease as they're watching it. Like, oh, this makes sense. So we're coming into prep. She's getting ready. She's getting ready with her girls. She's getting on her dress. Her bridesmaids are seeing her. She's gorgeous, yada, yada. So here we're kind of building tension. Like, she is getting ready and everyone is so excited for her. But where's the groom?
We're so happy that you guys are doing this. You know, you see in the movies and whatnot, the true love thing. We are seeing it in real life.
All right, so here I wanted to split up the timeline a little bit. So I'm going into all the details. So I did ceremony details. Now I'm doing some reception details. And what we're going to do here is soon we're really going to start focusing on the couple again. But I wanted to just bring in some more of the environment, like show really how pretty this is, just to break up the chronologicalness of the day. So we've built the tension between the bride and the groom, both getting ready, and they're dressed. So it's like they're both dressed, but they haven't seen each other yet. Now we're going to go into the first look with audio. Building more tension. We tease that first look. We're teasing. You really want to see, what is he going to say? How's he going to react? We're building up to it. And here it is.
God, you look so gorgeous, my baby. Hi. Oh my God. Wow. Truly magical. I was so wrong on all this.
So during these moments, we're teasing the ceremony. So she's seeing her parents. You get these little glimpses of her getting ready to walk down the aisle. Like, she's walked down, she's at the front. It's really sweet. So this is where I decided to pull in the vows, because we had so much good audio from this day, and we had a lot of really good portraits, and we had really good details. So that's all represented here.
You're the most wonderful, caring, and selfless person I've ever met.
All right, I don't need to play this whole thing for you guys, but he's doing his vows, we're bringing in portraits, we're splitting up the timeline of the day, we're going back in time, forward in time, just making it really interesting and a little funky. And then she does her vows, same thing, we're bringing in portraits. So I want you to listen to the music here. the soft track's gonna fade out completely because I could not find a soft track and a hype track that I thought just like went really well together. Couldn't do it. So this is my workaround for that. You completely duck out the music during the first kiss, and then when they kiss, that's when I bring in the pop music. So watch.
It sounded, but from where I'm standing, Forever was pretty damn good. I love you.
Right here you can see it ducking.
Pronounce you husband and wife. Steven, you may kiss my sister.
All right, so then it's kind of hypey for the rest of the film. So if for some reason you can't find music that goes well together, just duck it out completely for a couple seconds and then bring it back in when it feels appropriate. And then the rest of this is just like reception and dancing. They didn't have a grand exit or anything, so you'll see here that they're kissing, and then I did back out to like this one. I chose an environmental shot. Sometimes I would have chosen a portrait, but we had already used them all that kind of stuff with a little bit of Foley with the ocean. So anyway, that is what a complete wedding timeline is going to look like. You're going to have your music layered on your audio, and it's just stacking, 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 stacking. Then you're going to cut it where you feel like is appropriate. And that is how I like to edit. So I hope this helps. I hope it helps you wrap your brain around like what editing might look like and give you a little cheat sheet so that you can do it quicker.